Okay, so today we're going to keep building on what you've been doing before. And you mentioned some trouble with reciprocals, so we're going to do a couple extra ones there. And then we're going to just be graphing a couple equations with reciprocals. So we're going to start with A equals 3/8. So 3/8, the reciprocal, this is an easy one, you just flip it, 8/3. And why is that reciprocal? Because if you multiply them together, you will get the number 1. 3 times 8, 24. 8 times 3, 24 equals 1. Yep, so these are your two reciprocals. Next one, -2. We've talked about this one before. -2 is the same as -2 over 1. What is its reciprocal? You just flip it around. Or we have -1/2. If we multiplied those together, we would get 1, +1. So those are reciprocals. How about 10? 10 is the same as 10 over 1, so its reciprocal is 1/10, or 1 over 10. Keep going. 2.3. It's a decimal because these are tenths. The first one is a 10, so that's 2 3/10. 2 3/10. Okay, we've got to change a mixed number into a fraction. To do that, you do bottom times side plus top. 10 times 2 is 20, plus 3 is 23, and you keep that bottom number. These are all the same number written in different ways. 2 3/10, 2 3/10, or 23/10. They're all the same number written in 3 different ways. So let's try -1/8. All to get the reciprocal, all I gotta do is flip it around. 8/1. Oh, -1/8's reciprocal is -8. Because -8 over 1 is just -8. So these are the two reciprocals. Okay, let's go back to doing another one of these decimals. You say this, 6 8/10. So this is the same as writing 6 8/10. Now we gotta make that a fraction. We do bottom times side, 10 times 60, or 10 times 6, which is 60, plus the top, 68. Because 60 plus 8 is 68. Keep the bottom. All those numbers are exactly the same. Oh, but we got to find the reciprocal. The reciprocal is 10 over 68. And I see that I never did that in D. I never found the reciprocal, which is just 10 over 23. Okay, so let's do another one. 6 82/100. Remember, it goes tenths, hundredths. So then it's 6 over 82/100. Just like that. Those are the same number written 2 different ways. To change that, again, I do bottom times side, so 100 times 6, which is 600, plus the top, 82. So that's 682, and keep the bottom. What's the reciprocal? Just flipping it upside down. Okay, now last one before we go into graphing. 2, so this is tenths, this is hundredths, this is thousandths. So if I'm going to rewrite that, it's 2 over 122 thousandths. Okay? And now we're going to change that to a fraction. Bottom times side, so 1,000 times 2 is 2,000, plus 122. So 2,000 plus 122 is just 2,122 over the same bottom, which is 1,000. And if I want to find the reciprocal, I just flip those around. So that's a review of reciprocals. Next, we're going to find 3 solutions. And the reason I like to find 3 is because 2 points make a line. So if I find 3 points and they're not all in the same line, I know I've made a mistake. So I'm going to find 3 solutions. That's enough to tell me if my lines will fall in a line. I'm going to write my solution in a table. So first I'm going to rewrite this question bigger plus 1/3 y equals 2. So I wrote the question bigger, and my answer needs to be in a table. And the neat thing about this is I need 3, right? And I'm going to do my 0, 0 thing because those are easy. Now when I choose my next one, I look at what's on the bottom here, and I like to use that number for later. So I'm just going to say 3 here. So let me go ahead and work through these. We'll start with x equals 0, that one. Okay? If x equals 0, we have negative 2/3 times 0 plus 1/3 times y equals 2. Oh, that's going to just be 0, so I have 1/3 y equals 2. Now I have a fraction, so I'm going to use the reciprocal, which is the flipped version, right? So that's 1y equals 2 times 3, 6. Okay, first one already done. Now I'm going to not check it right now because when I have 3 points, I'll know if they're all on the same line. Okay, let's try another one. Let's try y equals 0. So we'll have negative 2/3 x plus 1/3 times 0 equals 2. Okay, I slid a little low for us. There we go. So negative 2/3 x plus 1/3 times y is 0 equals 2. This is going to cancel out. So I have negative 2/3 x equals 2. Now I'm going to use that reciprocal, which is negative 3/2. And if I do it on the left, I got to do it on the right. Remember, 2 is the same as 2/1. So this becomes 1x because I use the reciprocal. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. 1 times 2 is 2. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Okay, so I have another answer. And again, I'm not going to check it right now because when I do the line, they should all line up. Because you need 2 points to make a line, so our 3 points should easily line up. Let's do x equals 3. Now we've got to figure it out. Negative 2/3, put the 3 where the x goes, plus 1/3 y equals 2. Okay, now I got to do this multiplication. Remember, negative 2/3 times 3 could be written like this. It's just a different way of writing the same thing because 3 is the same as 3/1. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. 3 times 1 is 3. Nothing else changed yet. This is the same as negative 2. Okay, plus 1/3 y equals 2. Nothing else has changed. I'm just simplifying this down. Now, what do I do next? Okay, I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So I have 1/3 y, because I did to the left, I got to do to the right. 2 plus 2 is 4. Now I've got to use the reciprocal. And what's the reciprocal of 1/3? 3/1. Okay. So y equals 4 times 3, 12. Okay, now I have 3 points. 0 and 6, negative 3 and 0, 3 and 12. We can write them this way as coordinates. And I'll know I'm right without checking if they all fall on the same line, which is what we're going to do next. We're going to graph the solution. So I need to find these numbers, that 12, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It doesn't look like it's big enough for me to go out to 12 unless I count by 2s. So I'm going to find a middle. I'm going to make it a nice dark middle. That's my 0, 0. And then I'm just going to help myself out here. and I've seen you do this, just kind of use the graph paper, make it a little darker. If I had a straight edge, I'd probably use that. And then I'm going to give myself a reminder that I'm going to go by 2's. And this is negative, of course. -4, -6. Now it's just reminders, because it can be easy to forget that you're counting by negatives, 2's and stuff. Okay, so let me find these points. First, 0, 6. It's always up and down, or side to side first, right? It's always X, then Y, and this is side to side, and Y is up and down, right? So 0 side to side, 6 up. 2, 4, 6. I'm going to call this point A. Okay, let's call this point B and this point C, just for me. Okay, -3, so that's X, so that's going to be right in between here. And I want to be as close as possible because I'm using the line. -3, oh, and 0 up and down, so it's going to be right here. I'm going to call that point B. Okay, C is 3 positive, so right in the middle here, and then 12 up. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, right dead middle, right? Because it's 3. C. Now these 3, I don't have my ruler with me, but you probably do. You can see make a great line. And now just for kicks, I'm going to say, well, what's the slope of this line? Let's see, 2, 4, 6 up, because it's rise over run, right? 2, 4, 6 up, 2, 3, right? That's 1, 2, and then 3 over. So the slope is a +2, right? I'm just doing that for fun. It doesn't say that in the question. I just wanted to see what the slope would be. But we're not done with the video part yet, because now we're going to do number 4 together. Find 3 solutions to 2x minus 2/3 y equals 8. Write them in a table and put them on the same graph. So I'm going to put them on that same graph. And then I'm going to answer if they intersect, are they parallel, are they perpendicular, which knowing the slope, that extra work I did, might help me out with that. So let's do this. 2x minus 2/3 y equals 8. Now, I want this on a table, so I'm going to go ahead and make my table. And I'm going to do the easy ones. And then I'm going to pick 3 as y because that's on the bottom there, and that might make it easier. You don't have to do that. I just think that kind of gets rid of the fraction later. So I'm just going to go ahead and do 3 there. I think it just makes it easier to look at what's at the bottom of the fraction and use that and put it on that side. Okay, well, let's start with x equal to 0. If x is 0, we have 2 times 0 minus 2/3 y equals 8. Okay? First thing. Yep. 2 times 0 is 0, so that gets rid of that. So now we have negative 2/3 y equals 8. And right now you're thinking that you want to use the reciprocal. Okay, so in the reciprocal is -3/2, right? Those two. If you do it on one side, you gotta do it on the other. Okay, so that's 1. So y equals 8 times -3 is -24. 1 times 2 is 2. -12. Ooh, we have another 12. Okay, so -12. Okay. Let's do y equals 0 now. Okay? So again, same formula. 2x minus 2/3 times 0 equals 8. Because y equals 0 this time. 2/3 times 0 is 0, right? Minus 0 is, well, it's just 2x equals 8. Oh, this is so easy. I just got to divide both sides by 2. X equals 4. Oh, that one worked out really nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and put that here. Okay, and again, I'm going to do 3 points. Since I'm pointing on my graph, I'm going to know if they all line up or not. So we chose y equals 3. 2x minus 2/3 times 3y equals 8. Now you see kind of why this works out, because 3 is the same as 3 over 1, right? So this is the same as saying 2x minus 2/3 times 3 over 1 equals 8. Now let's just keep simplifying that. So 2x minus just comes down. The equals 8 just comes down. Now we're just going to multiply these together. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. Let's keep simplifying that. 6 divided by 3. Okay. At this point, oops. Let's move that up a little. Okay. At this point, I think you're seeing that 2x minus 2 equals 8. Now what do we do to both sides? Okay, we're going to add 2 to both sides. So 2x equals 10. Okay, and now we're going to divide something on both sides, because 2 times x. Okay, divide. X equals 5. Okay, now we have 3 points, and it says to put them on the same graph. Okay, there are 3 points. We'll call them point D, 0, negative 12, point E, which is 4, 0, and point F, which is 5, 3. I'm going to put those off to the side there. And remember, we counted by 2, so let's do point D first. 0 side to side, 12 down. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So let's call that point D. E, 4 side to side, 0 up and down. So we're going to call that point E. And F is 5 side to side, 2, 4, ooh, right here, and 3 up and down, which is like right in the middle here. F. Now those 3 fall on one line. Oh, they do. Good. That means that I'm probably right. Now, I think you can see right away that eventually, although not right away, but eventually those are going to intersect. So when I look back at this question of do the lines intersect, I can see that they do. But if I wanted to be really sure, I could look and say, well, what's the slope of this line? Is it the same as this line's slope, which was 2, or is it different? I'm going to go between points D and E, and remember, rise over run. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, up, right? And then 2, 4 over. Let me simplify that. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So since they have, so we went 12 up, 4 over, right? 12 over 4 is 3. 3 and 2 are different numbers. Therefore, they have different slopes, which means if they have different slopes, they are going to intersect. So the lines intersect. And I think you can see that they'll eventually intersect, that they're not the same slope. They're slightly different. The 2 is a slight more like this. 3 is a little steeper. It's a little steeper hill than the 2 is. So I think you can see that they don't intersect. Okay. What do you have ahead of you? You've done 4. What I would like you to try is number 5. Okay? Again, we have 3 solutions, and you're going to do a table. So you're going to do negative 3/4 x plus 2y equals 8, and you're going to do a table, x and y. And I will do my 0, 0s. Those are the easy ones. Now I'm going to suggest you try x equals 4 here, because there's a 4 on the bottom next to x. It might make your math a little bit easier, you know? So you're going to find those 3 solutions, and they're going to give you 3 points. And you might want to call those points A, B, and C. And then when you do that, you have this one here, and I changed it to make it a little bit easier. 1/2 x plus negative 1/2 y equals 4. Again, you're going to do your table, x, y, and I suggest a 0, 0. And this time, I suggest using 2 as either x or y, because there's a 2 on the bottom, and it might make it easier. And you're going to get 3 points again. And you might call them D, E, and F. And then you're going to put those points onto this chart. What I suggest you put a 0, 0, so you know where that is, and that you create that. Hopefully your numbers will be a little smaller, so you won't have to count by 2s, but maybe you'll have to count by 2s. And then you're going to look at their slopes. Maybe you can see right away if they intersect or not. If they have the same slope, they're parallel, the same rise over run. They have different slopes, or either just intersecting, or they're a special kind of intersection, which is perpendicular when they're exactly 90 degrees. So we'll see how you do. Good luck.